the millionaire disguised who went looking for a bride at a modeling agency. But one simple phrase changed everything. Charles always had everything money could buy: luxury cars, stunning mansions, and a life surrounded by glamour. But when he realized that the relationships around him were shallow and empty, he decided to embark on an unusual experiment. Disguised as a street artist, Charles went to a modeling agency in hopes of finding a woman who wasn't interested in his wealth, but in who he truly was. Amidst disdainful laughter and scornful looks, he meets Emily, a humble and hard-working cleaner who, despite life's hardships, carries a special sparkle in her eyes and a heart full of kindness. From that encounter, Charles discovers what really matters: genuine love, simplicity, and the power of family. But the path to happiness isn't easy. Family pressures, prejudices, and old enemies threaten to destroy the budding love between Charles and Emily. Can true love overcome all obstacles? And how can a simple woman with a small child transform the world of a millionaire used to having it all? Get ready for an emotional story that proves that the real value of life lies in sincere connections and acts of kindness. A tale about new beginnings, forgiveness, and the discovery that sometimes the most precious things have no price. If you believe in the power of love and family, don't miss this inspiring story. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming narratives like this. Let's spread hope and create stronger bonds in a world that needs more empathy. Above all else, Charles loved himself and his status as the heir to a major corporation. Even as a high school student, he knew exactly what fate had in store for him: a luxurious millionaire's life and a prestigious position at his father's right hand. Charles divided people into those worthy of being around him and those who, less fortunate in life, did not deserve to be part of the rich boys' circle. There was only one person Charles allowed to get close and considered almost equal to himself: Ethan, the son of the CEO of a company with annual earnings significantly lower than Charles's father's enormous corporation. This difference made Ethan almost a step below, so he became something like a pet to Charles, allowed to visit Charles's home and even stay overnight. Charles and Ethan shared a common weakness: they adored expensive, beautiful things. It didn't matter whether it was a sports car, a suit from a famous designer, jewelry, or girls. What mattered was that the item was exclusive and special. Therefore, Charles and Ethan made it their mission to always acquire the newest and most luxurious items first. They even chose their girlfriends like expensive horses, only the most beautiful, elegant, and dazzlingly luxurious ones. Hence, the two friends never missed events where they could meet beautiful girls. The latest fashion show was in full swing. Models dressed in expensive attire floated down the runway, displaying their superiority over the grounded people below who greedily devoured them with their eyes. Indeed, there was a lot to see. The girls were extraordinarily beautiful and graceful, as if carved from stone by great masters. They were perfect. Charles and Ethan watched the models spellbound, pointing at one or another. "That's it. I want a wife like her," Charles said, pointing to a beautiful girl in a lace dress who was gliding by on very high heels as if he were talking about some expensive item. "Yeah, those kinds of things cost a lot," Ethan retorted. "It's easier to buy another thoroughbred horse. You'd pour money into such a girl, and she might find someone richer, like an old sugar daddy with a big belly who will spoil her. The older he is, the better for her." "Why do you call them things?" Charles asked, still watching the girls on the runway. "Because they're all dressed-up dolls. Look at their eyes. Pure emptiness and a sense of grandeur. What would you talk about with such a beauty? Only about clothes and expensive trinkets? Do you think they need you? They need your money." Charles laughed. "With that kind of thinking, you'll never get married, my friend." After a night reflecting on his friend's words, Charles decided to conduct an experiment. He would disguise himself as a poor street artist and visit a modeling agency to see if there was any beautiful and intelligent girl who wasn't interested in money. Dressed simply and casually, Charles went to a famous modeling agency. Upon entering, no one suspected that this humble man was actually a millionaire. During the show, Charles began interacting with the models, offering them water and snacks. To his dismay, the girls treated him with disdain and ridicule, laughing at him and mocking his appearance. Just when Charles was about to lose hope of finding someone genuine, a kind young woman appeared to help him. She had long, natural hair, a radiant smile, and a humble attitude. "Thank you for your help," Charles said to the girl, whose name was Emily. She revealed that she worked as a cleaner at the agency, not as a model. Charles was enchanted by Emily's simplicity and kindness, and from that moment on, he began visiting her frequently, still disguised as an artist. As time went by, Charles grew closer to Emily and her young son, Lucas, who was 5 years old and the joy of her life. Despite life's challenges, Emily was a dedicated mother, raising Lucas on her own and working hard to support her family. Charles fell in love with her strength and resilience. Everything seemed to be going well until Charles's father, Edward, discovered his son's romance with a cleaner and decided to intervene. He made an unexpected visit to Emily, revealing who Charles really was and offering her money to leave him. Feeling betrayed and humiliated, Emily decided to leave the city without a trace. When Charles returned from a business trip and discovered that Emily had disappeared, he was devastated. He did everything to find her, but it was as if she had vanished into thin air. Months passed, and Charles couldn't get her out of his mind. Eventually, Charles married a high-society woman, as his parents wished, but the marriage was loveless and only for appearances. One day, he received a mysterious letter indicating Emily's whereabouts. With the help of private investigators, Charles finally found Emily living in a humble area with Lucas. To his surprise, she was pregnant again. When they reunited, Charles confessed that he loved her and didn't want to live without her. Although hesitant at first, Emily saw the sincerity in Charles's eyes and forgave him. With tears in his eyes, Charles asked her to come back into his life. A few days later, they married in a simple ceremony surrounded only by their closest loved ones. Charles adopted Lucas officially, and soon after, their daughter was born. During the ceremony, little Lucas held Charles's hand and said with a smile, "Now I have a real daddy." As time passed, the lives of Charles, Emily, and their growing family began to take new shapes. Lucas, now 6 years old, had started attending school, quickly standing out as a bright and friendly student, traits he inherited from his mother. He loved telling everyone about his businessman daddy, with eyes full of pride, and showing off the new reading skills that Charles taught him at night. Despite all the happiness, challenges still arose. Emily, who had always been a strong and determined woman, started feeling the weight of her responsibilities. Even though she had found emotional and financial stability with Charles, memories of her previous life, the struggles, the rejection, and the distrust, still haunted her thoughts. She feared that at any moment, everything could fall apart. This hesitation held her back from embracing some of the new opportunities that came her way, such as expanding her foundation or accepting invitations to speak at events focused on women's empowerment. Charles, always sensitive to Emily's needs and emotions, noticed her unease and decided to act. He surprised her with a retreat to a small country house he had secretly purchased. "I want you to have a place where you can breathe, away from everything, where you can relax and think about what truly matters to you," Charles said as he revealed the gift. The house was simple but cozy, surrounded by trees and wildflowers, with a stream that provided the soothing sound of flowing water. Touched by the gesture, Emily finally allowed herself to relax. During their time at the retreat, she and Charles had deep conversations about the future and how they wanted to raise their children, as well as the values they wanted to instill. Inspired by these reflections, Emily decided to expand her foundation, adding a personal touch, a specific program to help single mothers find balance between professional and family life. Meanwhile, back in the city, Edward, Charles's father, began to get more involved in Lucas' life and in raising baby Clara, the newborn daughter of Charles and Emily. Edward, who had once been cold and calculating, now found himself softened by the sweetness of his grandchildren. He even started participating in some activities at Emily's foundation, using his vast business experience to help women learn entrepreneurial skills. This new connection brought an unexpected peace to Edward, who finally began to feel that he was contributing to something greater than just profits and investments. However, the peace was briefly interrupted by Ashley, Charles's ex-wife. Driven by jealousy and resentment, she attempted to use her influence in the media to tarnish Emily's foundation, insinuating that Emily wasn't capable of managing such a large project. The news reached Charles, who quickly acted to protect his wife's reputation. He confronted Ashley directly, revealing that any attempt to harm Emily would only further expose Ashley's own faults and failures. Feeling cornered, Ashley finally gave up on her revenge, but not without admitting to herself that she still had unresolved feelings for Charles. This confrontation made Charles realize that, despite overcoming many obstacles, there would always be challenges and people trying to tear him and his family down. But he was more determined than ever to protect those he loved and keep his life anchored in the values he had learned: honesty, love, and the power of family. The real turning point, however, came with a surprising revelation. During a quiet afternoon at the country house, Edward, who rarely opened up emotionally, finally confessed to Charles that he had sought help from psychologists and counselors to deal with his own feelings of guilt and regret. He explained that deep down, he had always feared that his son would repeat the same mistakes he had made, driving people away by prioritizing money and power above everything else. This moment of vulnerability paved the way for a new relationship between father and son. Charles, who had kept an emotional distance from his father for so long, finally saw Edward's human side and offered his support. "I always wanted to prove that I didn't need to follow your path to be successful, but now I understand that the true legacy you can leave me isn't money, but the lessons about how we can become better people," Charles said, moved. From that point on, the bond between them grew stronger, and Edward started spending more time with the family, helping raise the children and participating in the foundation's activities. He also became an informal mentor to young entrepreneurs seeking success with integrity. As the years passed, the country house became a family refuge where they celebrated birthdays, spent holidays, and hosted gatherings to discuss new ideas for both business and the foundation. Lucas, growing up surrounded by strong examples of love, determination, and empathy, developed the dream of following in his father's footsteps, but always with a commitment to helping those in need, something he learned by watching his mother's dedication. The days passed, and the new routine of walks in the park with Buddy, Max, and now Lucky brought even more joy to Charles, Emily, and their family. Slowly, the relationship between father and son strengthened, and the presence of Lucas served as a constant reminder that true love and friendship are built with patience, empathy, and small acts of kindness. Charles, who once lived obsessed with work and success, began to realize the value of simple things. Conversations with Edward and Emily during their walks became the highlight of his day. "You know, Dad," he said one sunny morning, "I used to think that success was all about having money and status. But today, I understand that real success is about being surrounded by the people we love and sharing moments like these." Edward smiled, watching Lucas play with the dogs. "I learned that lesson the hard way, Charles. But I'm glad you figured it out while there's still time to enjoy these moments." As autumn turned the leaves golden and crimson, Edward decided it was time to do something special for Charles and Emily. He revealed a plan to renovate the old family country house, a place where they could spend more time together and where everyone, including the dogs, could enjoy nature and the peace of the countryside. With Charles's support and Lucas' contagious energy, they began working on the renovation. The weeks of manual labor not only improved the house but also strengthened the bonds between everyone. The laughter, shared stories, and joint effort made each brick laid on the old house a symbol of the rebuilding of a united family. Finally, on the day the renovation was complete, they held a small celebration. The house was lit up, with a warm fire crackling in the fireplace and the smell of freshly baked cake in the air. Lucas looked around and saw his parents chatting happily, Edward smiling like never before, and the 3 dogs running around the yard. It was in that moment that Lucas realized that the journey of reconciliation and forgiveness wasn't just about Charles and Edward's past, but also about their future as a family. He felt grateful to have been part of this story, to have witnessed how love can transform everything. As night fell, while they watched the stars twinkling in the clear countryside sky, Edward placed his hand on Charles's shoulder and said, "You know, son, it's never too late to start over. I'm proud of the man you've become and how you're raising Lucas. This house is a symbol of our new beginning, but the real home is what we're building here, together." Charles, his eyes filled with emotion, replied, "And I'm grateful for this second chance. I promise that we'll make the most of every moment from now on." Lucas smiled, his heart warmed by the love emanating from his renewed family. And as he watched Max, Buddy, and Lucky happily playing, he understood that, no matter how simple they might seem, the small actions he started in the park had created deep and lasting changes in the lives of those around him. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, remember that small gestures can create big transformations. Never underestimate the power of simple kindness, as it can change lives and heal hearts. If you believe in the power of love, family, and forgiveness, don't forget to give a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories. Let's spread hope and build stronger connections in a world that needs more acts of kindness. See you in the next video.